Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Eye for episode 7, The Reckoning. 6 episodes, 1 machine. We started with the post-war architecture, walked through the Silicon Vale, traced the Black Ledger, stood at the apex, and watched the first real fractures form in episode 6. Now we reach the end game. The part the cartel fears more than any scandal, more than any leak, more than any reform bill. Not revolution, not violence, not even exposure. What terrifies them is irrelevance, a growing population that simply stops needing their systems, a critical mass of people who withdraw consent, opt out of dependency, and build parallel realities that the machine cannot touch, tax, track, or control. This is episode 7, The Reckoning. The cartel's entire operating system, every agency, every algorithm, every offshore account, every elite handshake relies on one unspoken assumption. You have no choice. You need their information, their money, their security, their narrative. When enough people prove that assumption false, the pyramid begins to starve from the base up. No bullets required, just sustained intelligent withdrawal. Look at the quiet experiments already underway in 2026. They are not hidden in bunkers or whispered in manifestos. They are happening in plain sight, in neighborhoods, on farms, in code repositories, and in local councils. First, informational sovereignty. Millions have abandoned legacy media entirely. They source news from decentralized platforms, citizen journalists, and primary documents. Homeschooling and microschooling networks have doubled again this year because parents refuse to let state-approved curricula program the next generation. When the cartel loses control of what children believe, it loses control of the future. Second, economic sovereignty. Parallel economies are scaling faster than regulators can map them. Local food systems, community-supported agriculture, urban farms, seed banks, now feed entire regions without touching global supply chains. Barter networks and skill-sharing guilds bypass central banks. Bitcoin and privacy-focused crypto rails move value outside the Black Ledger's reach. In places like El Salvador and pockets of rural America and Eastern Europe, entire towns run on sovereign money and energy. The cartel prints trillions. These communities simply stop using it for everything except the bare minimum. Every off-grid solar array, every local currency, every decentralized exchange is in quiet default on the cartel's debt-based control. Third, technological sovereignty. The same open-source movement the cartel once co-opted is now weaponized against them. Self-hosted servers, mesh networks that ignore ISPs, AI tools trained on uncensored data, these are no longer fringe. They are infrastructure for the fracture. Developers are shipping protocols that make mass surveillance exponentially more expensive. When your data never leave your own node, Prism and Palantir go blind. When communities run their own communication grids, Five Eyes loses their feed. These experiments are not utopian fantasies. They are pragmatic, incremental, and multiplying. Every family that grows its own food, every creator who builds on Nostra, instead of corporate platforms, every town that rejects digital ID mandates is running a live stress test on the cartel's dependency model. Now the scenarios that could turn these fractures into systemic reckoning. Scenario 1. The next big leak. Not another Snowden, something larger. A black budget audit trail or an Apex membership roster that lands in the hands of 1,000 independent researchers at once. The cartel has survived single leaks by flooding the zone with denial and distraction. They cannot survive simultaneous distributed verification across parallel networks. Scenario 2. Elite overreach meets economic fracture. A major financial reset, engineered or not, exposes the Black Ledger in real time. When inflation spikes and black budgets keep flowing while pensions shrink, the public math becomes undeniable. The cartel's own contractors start leaking because even they see the writing on the wall. Scenario 3. Technological breakout. A genuine decentralized breakthrough, quantum-resistant encryption at consumer scale, or AI that cannot be censored or co-opted, renders the Silicon Vale obsolete overnight. The machine's advantage evaporates when the tools flip. None of these require perfect coordination. They require critical mass. 10% of the population operating outside the system creates noticeable drag. 20% creates political panic. 30% makes the cartel's model mathematically unsustainable. This is the reckoning, not the cartel's sudden collapse, but its slow, grinding irrelevance. Presidents will still give speeches. Agencies will still issue warnings. Davos will still convene. But fewer and fewer people will care because they are no longer plugged in. The cartel knows this. That is why the last decade has been defined by panic measures, intensified censorship, digital ID pushes, CBDC trials, narrative pre-bunking. They are not strengthening the machine. They are trying to keep the last dependents inside the walls. You already have more power than they want you to believe. Start small, one opt-out at a time. Delete the apps that spy. Grow one row of vegetables. Tell one child to question authority. Support one independent voice. Join or build one parallel institution. Scale what works. The machine was built over decades. The breakaway can be built the same way. We have mapped the entire cartel. Now the map belongs to you. Use it to navigate out, not to rage inside. This series was never about despair. It was about clarity. Clarity is the first and most dangerous weapon against any empire that depends on your ignorance. If you have followed every episode, you are already part of the fracture. Keep going, build, share the map, live like the cartel is already becoming what it fears most, a relic. In episode 8, we will examine the cartel's final countermoves, what they are planning right now to drag everyone back inside the system, and how those moves can be neutralized before they harden into the next layer of control. Until then, step outside their grid, breathe the free air. The reckoning is not coming. It is already here. This has been The Eye, Episode 7 of the Intel Cartel. If this series has given you direction instead of dread, share it without hesitation. The only thing the cartel cannot surveil is a population that has already walked away. We'll see you on the sovereign side. This has been The Eye. God bless you, and God bless America.